All right, welcome everybody to the show. Hope everybody's doing great out there today. And it looks like we're good to go. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it, shall we? As we always do here at Perfect Soulmates. All right, so welcome everyone to the weekly Friday Perfect Soulmate show. Today's topic is saving a failing relationship. If you or someone else is clearly failing in a relationship, pay very close attention. You may be able to save your relationship from failing. It all depends. It goes without saying, however, that a failing relationship that is already past the point of no return is obviously never going to work. Even if a couple pretends to forgive each other for completely unforgivable actions such as cheating or any type of physical or verbal abuse scenarios. Whether or not a failing relationship is beyond repair depends entirely on just how bad the situation is, as well as how likely the same mistakes or new mistakes are likely to be made in the future. A relationship only fails when there are no solutions at all. So there's a big difference between, a lot of people say that to try and you didn't get it right or it didn't work, that's a failure. No, it's not. One only fails in life when they stop trying. So why would you stop trying to make a relationship work if you guys work so hard to get to a certain point? Years and years of your life invested into each other. I mean, is it really a forgivable situation? Can it really go on? Is there really something there? Is the chemistry still there at the very least? Do you guys still feel strongly in love with each other? Because whatever it is that's causing you two to drift apart, meaning failing, you guys are failing each other because you're allowing everything that you worked so hard for to just drift away. It took so many years to get there, or so many months. Maybe you guys are not even a year together. Regardless, 11 months, 6 months, this is time of your life. That's what a relationship is. You have to invest your life to each other and for yourself. And that's why a lot of people get discouraged when a relationship ultimately fails, or they just give up so easily too. We'll get into it. But that's the sad part. So just, while I get into this show, just keep that in mind. Please keep that in mind. Like, it shouldn't be so easy to just give up on yourself and on each other. We'll talk about it. But just keep that in mind throughout this entire presentation. I'm not saying that you guys should just give up on each other so easily. No, wrong. The opposite. Unless, of course, what I just mentioned, if it involves cheating or physical or verbal abuse that's just out of control, it's already over. Okay, so let's go ahead and move forward, shall we? All right, so let's go over the problems, okay? We got quite a few problems, typical problems. Realize that a lifelong relationship has no room, absolutely no room, for big mistakes or significant conflicting differences. A serious relationship requires perfect practice, lots of learning, understanding, but above all, relentless determination towards achieving perfection. That's right. If you don't like the word perfection, you'll never succeed. Sorry to break it to you. For example, you wouldn't go bungee jumping if you knew that your bungee cord was even slightly defective or significantly damaged. You also wouldn't go on an airplane that only has 1 out of 4 functioning engines, would you? I'm pretty sure everyone agrees. So that's what I hear when people say they don't believe in the art of perfection and giving it your absolute all for your relationship and for yourself in a relationship. That's what it sounds like to me. It sounds like that you're willing to get on an airplane with just 1 functioning engine. You're like, whatever. It's not supposed to be. No. That aircraft has to be perfectly fit to take off, okay? Structurally, from an engineering perspective, everything. I mean, you know how many inspections they do on aircraft so that absolutely nothing goes wrong? And even then, something could still go wrong, but at least it's minimal, right? So the same thing functions in a relationship. Now, a lifelong relationship functions the same way. The weaker the link, in the chain, the more chances the relationship will eventually fail. So picture a chain as you see here. Either you perfect every single link in the chain, or suddenly you'll find yourself in a failing relationship. It's all going to fall apart, all due to negligence for the most part. So it could be sexual incompatibility, conflicting beliefs that leads to just senseless arguments, repetitive arguments, which is chronic arguing, anger or trust issues. Normally that might stem from PTSD from a previous relationship or family issues in the past, psychological problems, emotional problems, and also not enough in common. Maybe you guys don't have enough in common that you thought, because I'll tell you what, opposites do not attract. Now, if we're talking about a tall woman with a shorter guy or a tall guy with a shorter woman, that's insignificant. I'm not talking about that type of opposites attract. What I'm talking about is if your guys' personalities don't coincide as close as possible, your guys' gustos, what you guys like to do, how you guys think, what you guys choose to believe in, there cannot be too many things that are not common. It's the opposite. You want as many things in common as possible. Look at the linked chain here, once again. Do you see a different link here? No, they're all the same, aren't they? That's because that's the way a chain functions at its strongest. They all have to be perfectly the same as much as possible. Otherwise, it's not going to work. It's going to break because there's flaws in the links, right? So the same thing functions in a relationship. If you have something that's just not working out and you guys think it's just insignificant, no, it's going to become a big problem, the snowball effect in the future. It's going to turn into a huge problem. Things have to be absolutely perfect before you decide to move on into further stages of the relationship. So let's go ahead and move forward, shall we? More problems. Be aware that the holidays are when most breakups happen. Terrible, terrible times. If you, your partner, or both of you are even slightly mentally or emotionally unstable, then the holidays are going to be the most dangerous moments of your relationship. Often couples fight each other for giving the wrong gift, forgetting to even get a gift, or having family issues, when they're visiting during holidays. All during the holidays. The same fights can happen over birthdays, anniversaries, or other types of celebrations. These are problems, okay? These are very common. Holidays and celebrations often make people think about where they're going in life. Then sometimes they question their own relationship and what they're choosing to do in their lives. Couples tend to fear the future, uncertain if they are with the right person, for example. That's why it's crucial for both partners to focus on maximizing and maintaining their relationship. So ungratefulness is at the center, which creates anxiety, worrying, and doubt and fear, because that's a form of fear, is worrying. Holiday stress. And it happens her family this, my family that, her friends, my friends, her job, my job. It's always something that comes in between the both of you. That's why love has to be the center and the central priority of your guys' lives. You guys have to be above everything and anything. I'm serious. Above your own families and friends, anything. Job opportunities. If you guys want the relationship to work, it's not about sacrifice. It's about making it work. You have to be grateful for the opportunity, because a lot of people are without anybody and they choose to live alone out of fear of failure. So at least you have somebody by your side if the shoe fits. All right, so let's go ahead and move on, because there's even more problems than that. But for now, let's start going over some solutions. Okay, so I always advise the people that I coach to do their absolute best to perfect either their existing relationship or, if they're not in one, their next relationship, depending on whether they have someone special in their life or not. Placing your relationship as your main priority, as I said, equals maximum prevention. There's a key word there, prevention, of all things negative that can possibly happen in the relationship. Prevention means preventing existing problems from becoming worse as well. It also means preventing future problems from occurring. The most common cause for a failing relationship is neglecting existing problems and not preventing new problems from eventually happening. As I said before, failing relationships always involve either one or both partners losing control over their emotions instead of focusing on solving problems. You have to be a problem solver, and so does your partner. Solve problems. Don't be a troublemaker, because that's the last thing you need to do is make a bad situation worse. Just like a chain requires every single link, as I said before, to be absolutely perfect in order to be strong and reliable, the same applies to your relationship. So, being in control of your emotions, you have to strengthen your weakest links. It's not easier said than done. You're talking about a potential lifelong relationship here. It has to be taken as serious as possible. Perfection requires prevention. So that's what I mean by perfecting your relationship. When I say perfect soulmates, that means everything has been perfected. Everything's been addressed. You guys are not troublemakers. You guys are problem solvers. You guys are a strong team to the maximum. There's no fear. There's no doubt. You guys believe in each other. Yada, yada. Everything has to be check, check, check. Just like a checklist before that airplane takes off. Or before that chain gets manufactured. Or there's always safety inspections and quality control in business. Well, the same in a relationship. It doesn't mean it's a business. It means that if you want something to work, you better inspect it constantly. That means caring for each other. That's love. That's what love is all about. Just like a baby, when it's crying, you have to figure out, okay, what's going on? Is the baby hungry? Is it tired? Does it need some love? Like give him a hug? Or maybe talk to the baby, because it likes hearing your voice. I mean, you have to figure out things. You have to be a problem solver, okay? So your baby, figuratively, is your relationship, what you guys are creating together. That's the beauty. It's like a garden. It takes time. Especially if you plant a fruit tree, it's going to take a long time. I mean, I'm talking years for it to grow taller than you. Some of them grow faster than others, but that's up to you. So it's a perfect analogy. But, you got to be a problem solver. I mean, your relationship is only as strong as your weakest link. So you got to fix it all. A lot of people, they just want to turn the cheek and not even address their problems or even pretend like they don't have any. Or if they fail in their relationship, they take all that bitterness to their next new relationship, and then they get even more frustrated when they keep smashing that repeat button, which is called groundhogging. They never change their ways. They never learn anything from their previous failures. No experience. They just keep smashing the repeat button when they know it doesn't work. And they're just trying to find somebody who's going to tolerate their failed attitude, their negative mindset. And that's the main problem that's happening all across relationships today. People are far too lazy to address issues that need to be addressed. They like to blame each other, or they like to play the victim and say, oh, I'm just no good at relationships. Nobody loves me. I'm worthless. Blah, 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 blah. And they just soak in their own misery that they're creating for themselves. My life is horrible. I mean, just nothing but complaining and whining. And it's so sad to hear, because I'm sitting here watching these people online, especially because offline, I kind of barely see this. And they're saying, my life is horrible. I don't know what to do. What are you doing? It's going to be even more horrible. Stop sulking in your own misery that you're creating for yourself. You have to be productive. You have to be positive. But it's strange, because when I tell them that, people online, not everybody, some of them react like, oh yeah, that's easier said than done. Okay, genius, what's the alternative? To keep doing what you're doing, to keep putting yourself down, to keep complaining about everything instead of solving problems? That's not going to solve anything, so why do you keep behaving that way? Negative, negative, negative. And these are generally ungrateful people, and they panic a lot, and they rush into things, and they give up ever so easily on things that require, your ultimate attention and strength in order to perfect, to create something truly unique and special. Just like bodybuilding, you're not going to build tens and tens of pounds of slabs of muscle on your body overnight, or even in a week or a month. That takes years. Do you have the patience necessary in order to accomplish that goal without steroids or growth hormone or any other performance enhancing drugs? I hope that you do, because, building your body naturally and sculpting it, It's going to take quite some time. So a relationship, you can imagine, it requires even more attention and focus. So here we go. More solutions. Too many couples are living life in the fast lane. They think that just because they're together, that everything will just be fine. This is not true at all. Time by itself does not solve or prevent future problems from happening. It's also never wise to rush a relationship or to rush into a relationship. You heard that song, Only Fools Rush In. Too many people need to learn how to be grateful. That's a big missing part of today's societies all across the world. Just ungratefulness for the opportunities that they have. Even the poor people. You don't have to be rich. Even poor people have a lot of opportunities ahead of them. For the opportunity that you have to perfect your own relationship, if you even have a relationship, if you were strong enough, wise enough, brave enough to dive into one after establishing a great friendship, in order to become a strong couple. I mean, simply having someone by your side is the greatest opportunity to work together on building and maintaining a perfect relationship. It's the greatest opportunity in life itself. Anybody who says otherwise will always fail in the relationship in the realm of love, relationship department. You'll quickly notice that every single pessimistic, lazy, non-passionate, unintelligent, impatient, non-creative, ungrateful, highly negative person will spend their entire life failing in every relationship they ever have. They will also complain 24/7 to no end with zero solutions. This is precisely why so many relationships fail. It's all because people are simply not ready at all, so they panic even with the slightest problems, and they give up far too easily on themselves and on their partners. In order to save a failing relationship, drastic changes are needed. You got to look at the person in the mirror. Are you even ready to establish a really good friendship? And then when you think you're going to take things to the next level or to move in with each other, because that's a big move as well, are you truly ready? You have to answer that by yourself. I can guide you, but only you can answer that question. So it's just like taking a test in school. Are you ready? Did you study enough? Or are you just going to say, whatever, I think I'll get a C. I think I'll just pass. You don't want to live out your relationship that way and leave it up to chance. Because then you're going to have nobody else to blame but yourself. Because you know you didn't give it your all. And I see this in the gender war with a bunch of toxic females blaming men. They're just saying there's no such thing as good men. And yeah, because they're so toxic, these females these days. I don't even call them women. They don't deserve to be called women. And the same thing with toxic males. You don't deserve to be called real men. Because real men don't sit there pointing fingers every day of their life without providing solutions. That's not what a real man does. And that's not what a real woman does. Because they're doing the exact same thing. So you have feminist extremists who are making real men out there, innocent men, upset, and then they become bitter and then start with feminism 2.0 or 3.0 at this point in time. So they're just adding to the fuel, to the fire of destructiveness, self-destructiveness, and mutual destructiveness. It's just mutual destruction all across the board because there's no wisdom or intelligence in sight. So these solutions involve digging deep within yourself and saying, what do you want your life to be? Don't forget about everybody else who's failing in their relationships. It's about your case and what you want out of this life. Because if you can stand on your own 2 feet and you can look at yourself in the mirror, you have everything it takes. It's all up to you. But if you can't stand up and look at yourself, if you can't face yourself, you got to work on yourself then. Maybe you have too much fear or doubt. You just lack that willpower that's necessary to even begin a serious relationship. So the solutions are going to depend on what your problems are, obviously. But generally speaking, how to save a failing relationship, it depends on a case-by-case basis. So, one more bit of advice as we move forward here. As I said earlier, this is in the most extreme scenario. If there is any cheating, physical or verbal abuse, or extreme neglect, because neglect is also abuse, then the relationship is over, okay? Just finito. It's done. End it as soon as possible because it'll only get worse. If your relationship is mediocre, meaning boring and unexciting, then you both have lots of work to do if you want to save your relationship. It's still salvageable. If you're in a mediocre relationship, it's just not exciting. You know, maybe you guys don't have enough time together. You can make the time. But again, that's up to both of you, right? Making a relationship work requires perfecting your physical and emotional, intimate connections. It takes two to tango, as I always say. That means no sarcasm, no fear, and no doubts. In today's world, there's so much sarcasm. Yeah, right, like that's going to work. That's your problem. Or if your partner thinks that way, that's their problem. And guess what? Their problems are your problems because you guys are in it together. No excuses either, because you and your partner should always expect the absolute best from each other. Can you imagine a special forces unit deployed to a war zone and they all just said to each other, they just say to each other, hey, you know what? Let's just be mediocre, man. I don't know. I'm going to take a few bullets with me. Hey, leader, where are we going to go first? I don't know. Let's just go over to these mountains. They look cool. I don't know. Let's just go chill over there. Let's just go eat some meal replacement, packs, and let's just chill for a while. Let's just tell stories and not even focus on the mission at hand. Like, all of a sudden, that force is no longer special. You can take the special out of special forces. They're not even a force to be reckoned with because they're not a team. So you and your partner are a team. It's luckily you don't have any more members. You shouldn't. It should just be you and your partner. So what your family and friends say, you can take it with a grain of salt, but in the end, it's your choice. And it's their choice as well, your partner's. That's who's in control. That's you both are at the commander's seat. It's 50-50. In order to make it happen, both of you must envision, that means imagine in your mind, precisely what a perfect relationship is. Both of you must know exactly what you want out of a relationship in order to be a happy couple. If you want to save a failing relationship, the time for serious change is right now, not tomorrow. So if you're involved in a relationship, especially a failing one right now, you have to revision what you were lacking before. Maybe you envision it and it just didn't happen. Well, now's the time to make it happen. You might be sitting there saying, okay, that's easier said than done. That's your problem. You don't have enough belief in yourself. When you want to get something done, when you know you have to get something done, guess what? You will get it done. When you have the urge to go to the bathroom or the urge to take a shower or to brush your teeth, what do? You just do it. You don't think about it. You go do it. It's involuntary action at that point. It's automatic. When you're tired and you just can't even be awake, you can't even maintain your eyelids open, you fall asleep. So you have to make these actions work the same way. Okay, you got to make it happen and get used to making things happen. Be a problem solver, no matter what situation you're in. Unless you're involved in an extreme situation, as I said before, then it's already over. But no excuses. That's what perfection is all about. It doesn't mean that maybe an excuse might pop up. Maybe you get sick one day. Okay, take some time off, take care of yourself. But when you're ready to get back in there, you get back in there. When you're up to full health again. And you should expect the same from your partner. That's how perfection is even possible. That's how happiness is attained. And like I said before, many people wonder, how do you achieve happiness? It takes two. You cannot achieve happiness alone in this world. Get that through your minds and through your hearts. Love is the only answer in order to achieve happiness. Anybody, and I repeat, anybody who says otherwise and says, no, I'm perfectly happy living all alone, they're lying to themselves. They're living in denial. 100%. Because if you ask them about it, eventually they're going to crumble. They're going to fall apart. And they're going to confess the truth. The truth is they're not happy. Anybody who goes to sleep at night without a partner by their side, it doesn't matter if you guys sleep in separate rooms or, I get it. You guys, as long as you're in love with someone, deeply in love with someone, or you want to fall in love with someone that you have a great friendship with, because that's the next stage, right? If you guys are ready to take it to the next level. That's the most beautiful feeling in this world, is feeling love, actual love for that person. And that's the beginning of your happiness, your future happiness. All these people these days, it's really sickening actually, because they're saying, oh, I'm so happy because I come home and, I have peace and quiet. I have my dog or my cat, and what would I do? Okay, I play some games, watch some movies, I do whatever, I go work out. Yeah, that's great. And you eat all alone. Oh, I'm just so happy. That's great for if you need peace and quiet for a certain moment of your life, that's great. Everybody could use that actually in today's stressful realm that we're living in. I understand. But eventually, you need to get back into the realm of love and find that special someone. And if you're going to sit there and say, yeah, but I tried so hard, you didn't try hard enough because you're still living alone. End of story. No excuses. You keep trying, but you don't try in a desperate fashion like, hey, you, who's next in line? Don't do that. Yeah, that's where your wisdom and intelligence has to come in. You have to be a sniper, right? You got to really pay attention here. Who are you selecting as a potential friend at first? Because it's easy to establish a friendship. That's why I say establish a friendship first. Then you guys can take it to the next level. Maybe if you guys are both on the same page. But if you're not, drop them like a bad habit. You guys got to drop each other because you're wasting each other's time if it's not working out. If you guys don't see the friend zone, right? If it's not going to go to the next level, drop it. It's over, okay? It's not being cold-blooded. You guys can end the relationship amicably, the friendship, rather. There's nothing wrong with that. If you got a train or plane to catch, you got a plane or train to catch, okay? And sometimes it only comes once in this life. That magical opportunity, so why waste each other's time? If you guys are ready to take it to the next level or move in with each other and eventually become soulmates, if you guys want it that bad, then it's not there. The energy's not there, the opportunity's not there because one or both of you is just not giving it your all. I hear all different types of excuses all the time. It's really sad because it just points out how easy people give up on themselves and on each other. It's so sad to hear, and I'm like, why are you doing that? You're so capable of doing everything that you dream of and to find that person. And they'll write to me paragraphs online or through email or in person offline. They'll just continue giving me excuse after excuse. And they'll say nothing is working and blah, blah, blah. It's just you have all that energy to complain where all that energy should be going towards moving on, moving forward. That's what I mean by no excuses. How badly do you want to be happy in this life? This life can be as torturous as you can possibly imagine. The most horrible economy, everybody's poor on the streets, but you're still going to have that opportunity to find somebody to eventually love. Because it doesn't cost money to do so. Yeah, if you're going to play the dating game, if you're going to go through the movements of a typical relationship, spending money on a house and on a car and all that, yada, yada. But if we were all free human beings without an economy, without a banking system at all, we would all be living in the forest, in the highlands. Well, that's anarchy, right? So now you have absolute freedom. And what happens in that scenario? You're still going to have to find somebody to love, right? I mean, that's the way the animals do. I mean, they have a mating game that they do, a mating ritual and dance and whatnot. I mean, they're different than humans, but they have to go. They have to go procreate, right? Now, I'm not saying that humans have to procreate. I mean, we do in order to maintain our population, but that's a whole different subject. All I'm saying here, people, is that if you're in a failing relationship or you're just borderline, you're on the fence, it could go into the failing stage at any time, you still have a chance, depending on how severe it is. So why give up everything that you worked so hard to construct? It's like building a sandcastle. Okay, so if the tide gets that high, if it's getting that high, hey, continue building the strongest castle, because as long as you both are building that castle together, it shouldn't fall down when the tide comes. But if you guys barely give it anything and you got this small little castle that's definitely going to crumble when the tide comes, then what do you expect? It's going to crumble. It's going to fail. Your relationship is only as good as how much you both put into it. End of story. And with that, I'm just going to leave it right there because there's too many different cases to explain and to analyze. There's way too many possibilities. But this is just an overall presentation on how to approach it with that perfectionist mindset, that positive attitude, because attitude is everything. Passion is everything. You either make it work or you let it fall apart. One or both of you is responsible for that. But if it fails, move on. Because chances are, and I really do mean it, there is somebody out there who wants it as bad as you do, to want to succeed in a lifelong relationship. And with that said, hope you guys enjoy the show. Much love to everybody. Thanks for watching.